right, and welcome to Fast Break Breakfast, NBA podcast. My name is Keith, here alone for a solo episode. The full episode with John and Chuck will be out on Thursday, on March Madness Day. I'm sure neither of them will be distracted, especially John, by recording on that day. Today's episode is not about the crumbling Lakers and the tanking race or the playoff race. It's about the most improved players and the opposite of that, the least improved players. I think we've done it on our show a few years where we would pick the least valuable player. This is a slight twist on that, where our guests, Anthony Irwin and Dave DuFour, come on and we each pick who we think are the most improved players and the least improved players, or the players who just got worse. It's a lot of fun, so I think you will enjoy that. If you want more Fast Break Breakfast, you get that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. We're going to do our March Madness tournament bracket challenge over there. If you want to get into the prize pack, the grand prize will be some form of combination of maybe a collectible Fast Break Breakfast towel with some rare NBA paraphernalia. Who knows? The prize will be good. Usually is. So if you want to join that and compete against me, John, and Chuck, and all the other big-time listeners, go to patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. And also, you get that bonus content and support the show. So patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Help us out. My guest, or guests today, that's right, plural guests. We have first from the Locked On Lakers podcast, Anthony Irwin. Anthony, how are you?
I'm doing good. I can't lie. I respect the hustle here, getting two guests. Usually if I get one guest, that means that's one fewer guest I have to get for the rest of the week.
Well, I figured if I couldn't get one good guest, get two mediocre guests, right?
Son of a bitch.
Anyway, second, also, as you hear his voice, from the Count the Dings Network, the host of the Back to Back podcast and the Daily Ding. Do I say that? Is this host of Back to Back? Do you even have to say
host of the Back to Back podcast?
Okay, yeah. I got it right. That's Dave DuFour, Coach Dave DuFour. Coach, how are you?
What's up? We're going to pretend now like we didn't just spend 10 minutes talking.
Dave gets so angry that I do intros. I find it amuses me. Like, I do it for my own enjoyment.
It's not that I'm angry about it.
You're testy. You're always testy. Every time you come on. You're like listeners, just so you're unclear, we exchanged pleasantries before that formal sounding intro.
Before we then had to go through the motions again.
My dream, Dave, is I just call you up and then I just start reading that intro. And that's the first thing you hear.
That's exactly what you ought to do. If you're going to do the intro, do it.
Well, we do have some formality here.
But
we have the intro. We also talk about breakfast. Dave, would you like to go first? Can you tell us what did you have breakfast today, or do you have any good breakfast stories you can give me?
Well, sort of breakfast. I mean, it was like 11 a.m. Central.
That works.
I had sushi.
What?
Nice.
Yeah. Was there egg involved?
I think sushi's a breakfast food.
Oh, just had sushi.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Would you, Anthony? As Dave gave us that very entertaining and thorough story, did you have breakfast?
I did. I usually don't eat breakfast, so I can't really judge because like my breakfast usually it's 11 o'clock, so I guess sushi's fine. But I had this like breakfast sandwich from Starbucks that I got to be able to watch people argue in the Starbucks drive-through, so that was fun.
That's pretty good.
That was great.
Did you see, were they arguing with like the barista helping them? Were they arguing in their car about what they were doing?
In their car. So, there's just a general principle where there are two basic entrances to this drive-through. And if you alternate, the one comes from the other one comes from the other one. And this one lady tried to swoop in on a guy, and her excuse for doing so was, I have to get to work, which
right.
literally everybody does. So that was great to watch. It was a nice way to start the work week.
This is a trick you can have, Anthony, because I believe you're expecting, right?
I am.
So congratulations to that. But once you have that, one lying excuse you can use, or a similar to I have to get to work thing you can use that I've heard works a lot, is say I have to pick up my kids.
Oh,
So that can, I mean.
See, I had the dog excuse.
Oh yeah, Dave has the dog, and you can just call them your kids too. I gotta go pick up my kid.
Nah, man, I don't do that. That's not no.
No, it's not okay.
I put them in cages, right? Like, come on, No.
All right, well, so I got you guys on here to not, in Anthony's case, not talk about the Lakers. You're welcome, Anthony. Your dumpster fire of a franchise. We're not talking about them.
I bet they're going to come up.
They might come up. But I wanted to talk about a thing that I think is entertaining. We're going to do most improved player, which everyone talks about, which I don't think is that entertaining. But we're also going to do least improved player. And I told Dave and Anthony they could do that subject to their own interpretation. I thought of it as maybe a guy who lost trade value or didn't seem to be improving at all, or who I've given up on. But so I told him to come up with a list of 5 most improved players and then 5 least improved players. We will start with the most improved because I think it's not as interesting. But Anthony, why don't you go first? We don't do this in any, you can do a countdown if you want. I don't care. But who is one of your most improved players for this season?
Well, it has to be D'Angelo Russell, right? And I told you the Lakers were going to come up in some way, shape, or form. He's making that trade look awful. They traded him a full year before they had to. And my favorite thing about this last, while the Lakers have just kind of disintegrated and are losing, getting swept by the Knicks on the season, D'Angelo Russell's out here saying, we're going to be in the playoffs. His teammates and his organization is letting everybody know that he's been a leader this year. It's been amazing. It's been a lot of fun. And I just wish every time those quotes come out from him and about him that I could be a fly on the wall in Magic Johnson's office when he tells Byron Scott, you told me this guy was never going to get it. And then be good.
That's pretty good. Dave, did you also have D'Angelo Russell in your list?
Of course I did.
Okay.
Of course I did. This is a guy I've always been high on. Coming out of college, I just knew this guy has feel of the game. I figured he would figure it out. And, after last year with the Nets, knowing how their development staff has been, and he hadn't quite gotten there, I was like, oh no, I just don't know. I don't know if it's going to happen. And of course, this season he's been fantastic. He looks like a star. He might get a max.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the question.
I mean, but
a lot of money
you
out there.
don't want to be doing that, right? I mean, the Knicks are going to max him, but that's a bad idea.
Well, right, because you need to see it more than one season. But I mean, this is he's like a second draft guy. He's going into that second contract. Man, I'm really high on D'Angelo. He's been awesome. All the stories coming out of Brooklyn about him are awesome. Has completely remade his image. Although I think that when you're a 19-year-old kid and you do dumb stuff, that should be expected. It shouldn't stick with you forever. If all the stuff I did when I was 19 was still around, it'd be a big problem. So, I never really cared about much of that stuff. So
is there some pushback, or should there be some pushback about D'Angelo Russell that he's a gunner on a team that isn't very good, and he's given the green light to kind of just shoot whatever he wants?
Okay, but
he's obviously had a huge role. He's been clutch. He's had incredible clutch situations this season. I'm just asking, should there be any pushback that this guy is just filling it up on a 500 team, and that isn't necessarily that impressive? His shooting numbers are up from where he was, but his shooting numbers aren't that great. Maybe he's just like a chucker.
Okay, but they're not a bad team. It's not like he's doing this in Phoenix.
Well, they're what are they, the 17th best team in the NBA? That's not a good team.
Well, I think what matters to me is the way, not just the way he's succeeding on the court, but the things that he's saying off of it. Saying that he focused on preparation and having a routine before every game, and how he's learned the difference in how to be successful this year compared to years prior. That tells me it's at least sustainable, that he's learning these habits that you have to succeed in an 82 game NBA season.
All right, let's move to another player. I also had D'Angelo Russell on my list, but he is not my overall most improved. I'm going to go ahead and throw mine out. I think the most improved player award is going to come down to either D'Angelo Russell or Pascal Siakam. That's one guy I have on my list. Do you guys also feel the same way?
Yep. Of course.
Yeah.
We're gonna have the same list.
No, I think after we get past those two, it's going to get, I think, a little more creative. Well, let's move on. So we both have D'Angelo Russell, or we all have D'Angelo Russell, Pascal Siakam. Dave, give me another guy on your list.
Karis LeVert.
Oh, interesting.
I mean,
See,
listen, I know he was hurt.
Yeah,
I know he was hurt, but before he got hurt, he was looking like the most improved player of the year, hands down. Now, a lot of his issues have been health. He came into the league with the broken foot. I mean, he had this whole, but man, that guy, I mean, he's a real player, and you can see a definite difference in his game from year to year. Again, another Brooklyn Nets, reclamation of sorts. Again, they got him super late in the draft in the first round because of that foot injury, and they've really turned him into a dude. I mean, he's a legitimate two-way player.
That's a good one. He's actually third on my list of Brooklyn Nets for most improved. I have Joe Harris. I have Joe Harris ahead of him in most.
Oh, that's a good one too.
But
I don't think Joe Harris
is an honorable mention for me.
I see Joe Harris is better, but he was already good. Like they got him on a crazy discount.
Yeah.
So,
well, Joe Harris was not good until he got to the Nets.
Sure, but he was good last year. Is what I mean.
Well,
okay.
that's in my mind, Karis LeVert, like he showed flashes last year. Both those guys, they given big in roles, got better.
I thought Joe Harris was pretty consistent last year.
He was. Well, he's also taken that 3-point percentage way up. Anthony, who's a third player from your list?
So this isn't necessarily most improved, but guy who outdid or has outplayed expectations for me. Brook Lopez is like really freaking perfect for Milwaukee. Like he was such a great signing. He was so perfect for what they need. He spreads the floor. He can contest at the rim. Like Milwaukee they still have the best record in the NBA, right? So like, and he's played a huge part in it. I think he deserves a lot of credit for just filling that role and identifying his role early on and then just making the best out of that situation. I think he gets paid this summer.
You're just punishing yourself, Anthony. Bringing Brook Lopez. Sorry about Brick Lopez. That should not be his name. Bringing Brook Lopez up in the most improved player. I mean, I guess from season to season, sure. But I feel like you're just focused on all your Lakers pain. Another guy.
I can't get away.
He's no Mo Wagner, but he's.
I felt bad. Somebody asked me, what did you think of Mo Wagner's rookie season? I was like, he never played before the season was over.
Right. It doesn't.
Great.
It doesn't matter anymore. Dave, let's go to another one of your most improved players.
Man, now I forgot my list. No. Crap. Derek White.
That's Derek White, your San Antonio boy.
Yes, Derek White. This team, obviously, the first 6 weeks of the season for the Spurs were horrific. They were terrible. They didn't have DeJounte Murray, who really was like the key to their whole defensive identity last year, point of attack defense. Derek White came back, and immediately their defense improved.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think he's probably even better than DeJounte Murray defensively.
Yeah, that's a question I have is like, what are they going to do next year? Does Derek White, the way he's played over, I don't know how long it's been, like the last month and a half, 2 months, it seems like he could be the starter going forward. Like,
I think he's a starter.
Is it going to be the battle next season of which one of these not super great shooter, defensively versatile, tall point guards is their guy?
Well, Derek White's not as bad of a shooter as DeJounte.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'll say is they have a nice situation going forward as far as their guard rotation. Derek White, DeJounte Murray, Bryn Forbes is a player. Lonnie Walker, we haven't even really seen him scratch the surface of what he can do yet. Still got DeMar. It's going to be really interesting how they juggle all these guys next year. But Derek White, freaking fantastic. He might be like, I don't know, the second or third best guard defender in the league.
Well, he had that game with 6 blocks.
6 blocks.
And I can't remember what the stat was because I was really harping on our regular show talking about it was like him and all Hall of Fame centers were the only people to ever have 9 assists, 6 blocks, and 18 points in a basketball game.
He can guard any point guard or wing in the league.
It's good to have.
Yeah. Useful.
Anthony, what's a fourth guy from your list?
I have the combo of
former Laker.
DeMonte. I should just like go all
Just is it
trash the
is it
Lakers
Julius
for this whole
Randle?
show.
Is it Julius Randle?
He just dropped 45 the other night. But I have Domantas Sabonis / Miles Turner. I really think like those guys. For one thing, Sabonis actually really fits this description of most improved. I really like his game, and I think the combo. He and Turner go about the game in different ways, but they both do very valuable things that, if you would have told me that Indiana was going to stay afloat and stay where they are right now after they lose Oladipo, then you gotta look elsewhere throughout the roster for who deserves credit for that. And I just think that front court that they have is really fascinating.
Can I?
Yeah, go Dave.
Can I talk about Miles Turner for like 2 seconds?
Yeah.
He's a legitimate Defensive Player of the Year candidate. And I think he's the all NBA defense first team center.
Is that Joel Embiid getting the shaft there?
I would take Turner over Embiid this season. Turner has been incredible. And like Anthony just said, they've essentially not had Oladipo for, almost all season. And that defense has been fantastic. And it's because of Miles Turner. I mean, he's just been awesome. I
know the most improved player almost always goes to someone who boosts their scoring average.
Right.
And so like Miles Turner can't win that, but I think it's right that this guy has gotten incredibly better. Just last year, it was very in vogue to talk about Miles Turner and say something like he blocks shots, but he doesn't get it. Like he doesn't quite.
But
get
that was
it.
true though.
No, I understand. But in this year, I mean, his blocks per game are up a full block per game. He's up to 2.8 blocks per game. But also he's really guarding the rim. He's really like anchoring that defense. He looks clearly better than Sabonis this season, I think. Yeah. And last year, everyone again the in vogue thing was to say
it was who were you going to pick?
Like, I think Sabonis might be the better center. But now that's not the case anymore.
Yeah, Turner, especially the way he can shoot the three. And Sabonis has a contract coming up soon too. I think Sabonis probably winds up getting moved this summer, but just because that's how it works. But
also,
I was going to say, Turner, man, he's so good.
I think all the three of us combined actually average the same number of blocks as Domantas Sabonis. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe try to get a block shot every now. I know rim protection is more important than just block shot numbers, but
right.
Maybe get one. I don't know.
Doesn't hurt.
Dave, did you have another most improved? You guys haven't touched actually my 2 through 5 yet. Anyway, or my 3 through 5.
This is going to shock Anthony.
Yes,
Brandon Ingram.
Hey, there you go. Things are looking up, Lakers fans.
Listen,
feels bittersweet though.
You know what? It's that dude was in a terrible. I mean, it's a crap situation, right?
Yeah.
Between the fact there's all these expectations that he wasn't living up to. And I still don't think this is like indicative that he's going to be some top 10 player, but he's going to be a good player. And we saw it, and he was able to shut out all the noise, and he really responded in a way that, I mean, I was really impressed with his entire demeanor. He like took over when LeBron was out. Like, I mean, he really, they didn't perform well, but like he was doing everything he could. You don't have to ask him to play hard, and I respect that. But also, he can just play. Like, he's really good. Are you telling me he couldn't be 85% of what Giannis is? I think he could. So I think, if I were the Lakers, I'd trade LeBron, trade that bozo, and, get a bunch of shooters to surround Brandon Ingram.
Just burn the bridge.
85% of Giannis is, I'm gonna write that down as a hot take. That's a hot take.
85% of Giannis?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like borderline all-star, right?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure how
it depends on how high we have Giannis right now.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis.
I think Giannis is
pretty
like
high,
top 5.
If you want to say he's a borderline all-star, yes, absolutely, no
Giannis
disagreement.
is the best player in the league this year,
right?
Yeah. So
yeah, I would agree. Here's my thing on Ingram. There are a lot of guys on the Lakers team who you could probably say are a little more focused on brand than ability. Kyle Kuzma fits that description. Lonzo Ball obviously fits that description with the big baller brand stuff. Ingram just shows up, plays basketball, and actually Kuzma brought light to this. He said that all Ingram does is play basketball. I can't even imagine what he's going to be doing for the next 3 to 5 months while he recovers when he's not able to do basketball stuff. And I just think if you get somebody who has as much natural talent as Ingram does, and you have that work ethic, it's going to work out eventually. And we started to see that. It's really a bummer that he got hurt the way that he did, and when he did. It's really a bummer.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what he does when he gets to a team that actually values player development.
Yeah, that'd be great.
He's only 21 too. Only 21. We're contractually obligated to mention that. I want to do one that I have, or actually, much like Anthony did the guys on the Pacers with Sabonis and Turner. I'm looking at the Kings guys with Buddy Hield and De'Aaron Fox, and I have some hesitation of like whether you do a second-year player or not. But like Fox was bad as a rookie, and now he's
but all
great.
Rookie point guards are bad,
right? Well, except for Trae
he was especially bad.
He was one of those where it's like no one with a box plus minus under whatever it was, like negative 2.2 has ever been good, and now he's been excellent this year for them. And then Buddy Hield, who again he's just gotten more playing time, but the end of the season last year he put up some great numbers, and he continued that this season, come a 20-point per game scorer. Also, a guy on my list. He is still not anywhere close to being like a borderline all-star, but Malik Beasley in Denver,
dude,
like a nothing player,
good, man.
To now he's like Gary Harris who can shoot.
Right.
He's like a good Gary Harris now.
I was telling Adam Mares on Locked On Nuggets a few weeks ago. I was like, yeah, Malik Beasley creates some very, very good problems for the Nuggets this summer.
Yeah.
Just a guy when you have a person who's been on the end of the bench for a couple years and then he finally gets a chance and you're like, this guy hits 49% of his threes and he's still doing it. Like he still hasn't stopped doing it. So I've been blown away with him. Anthony, did you have one more or were Sabonis and Turner your 4 and 5?
Just kind of a shout out here. I want to say that Paul George deserves some credit in this group. Because everybody thought that it was going to be Russell Westbrook's team and that, when Paul George decided to go back there, it was, oh, well, that's cool. He's staying in the small market, but what are they actually going to be able to build here? Imagine how good you have to be to have Russell Westbrook for chunks of the season say, no, actually, we're better off if this is Paul George's team. Like, that's incredible to me. And I think Paul George has been one of the best, probably the best wing defender, I think, in the year, on the year this year, and doing all kinds of other stuff offensively and rebounding. He's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be this year, mostly because he convinced Russell Westbrook to take a back seat for stretches.
Yeah, it's a shame that he has this shoulder injury because he's starting to fall off a little bit, and it doesn't work well when the narrative on you is that March, April, May is not a good time of year for you. But I mean, he legitimately got hurt. So
yeah,
he's been like 92% of Giannis Antetokounmpo, right? Maybe
something like that.
90, almost.
I actually think that they compare pretty favorably as far. I mean, obviously different skill sets offensively, but like Giannis is probably the defensive player of the year and the MVP.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. I think
I wouldn't push back.
Paul George is like a top 5 MVP candidate and probably just behind Giannis for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, isn't there that push? Yeah. Don't we feel like Paul George might win Defensive Player of the Year?
I started that. Was
that you?
Push. That was me. Nice. I started the MVP G campaign and also the Defensive Player of the Year campaign for Paul George because he was awesome and nobody's paying attention to it. And this was like mid-December, but no one had caught up yet. But I mean, he's been great all year. It just stinks that this shoulder injury is kind of sapping the buzz.
Yeah, and also that the Lakers could have traded just Lonzo Ball for him like 2 years ago, right? Just could have had him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was the second pick. It could have been anything.
It was one of those. I think it was one of those situations there with Indiana, as we've seen like everywhere else around the league, where they didn't want to send him to where he wanted to go.
Could be. I can't get mad at franchises for that. I find it amusing. All right, so to close the book on Most Improved, I'm going to shout out just a few of the guys. If you want.
I got one more.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
John Collins,
another second-year guy who's doing some awesome stuff in Atlanta.
Adding a real 3-ball, right? Like, I mean, that thing is real, and his defense is much improved. Lloyd Pierce has been awesome, I think, as a coach. Like, he's not going to get the buzz because Atlanta just isn't a good team yet. But man, he's done a remarkable job turning around, like getting Trae Young, kind of keeping him upbeat and positive when he was dealing with his struggles to start the season, and empowering these young guys. Yeah. So John Collins, he's awesome. Like he looks like him, Trae Young. You add one more guy, and that's a squad.
Yeah. Kevin Huerter, not going to be the one more guy.
Oh, I like Huerter, but I think like I really want them to get Zion.
I'm super bummed that Kevin Huerter is going to like finish above Jaren Jackson Jr. in Rookie of the Year votes. That's kind of that's me as a Grizzlies fan being like, we couldn't even get first team all rookie for Jaren Jackson Jr. He's got a bad bruise or something. No, I was gonna to close down most improved player. I guess honorable mentions. I had John Collins on there. Also, Montrezl Harrell with the Clippers. Zach LaVine, Derrick Rose, and then Bojan Bogdanovic. I think all those guys could get some consideration. Having great seasons. Derrick Rose, like the Brook Lopez, good players who then didn't do much, who now have bounced back once again to be effective. Let's move to the least improved. Let's get this show on the road. This is the thing I'm most excited about. And again, so the opposite of most improved, least improved. This can be whatever parameters you set. Again, I took it to be in my mind who lost the most value this season. I didn't punish people as much based on age, but that's fair too. So, Dave, you want to go first?
Yes, I do. And I guarantee we all have this guy on our list.
Okay.
Andrew Wiggins.
Wiggins. He's on
combination of uninspired and overpaid.
It's not great.
Yeah. Here's his 17 and a half points a game.
That's pretty good. Right?
On 16.4 shots.
Oh, that's not as good.
No. Shooting 33% from three, which is dead on his career average. 42% on twos, which is 4% lower.
That's not good.
And 69.6% from the free throw line. He also averages fewer than 5 rebounds a game and fewer than 2.5 assists a game, 1 steal, and 0.7 blocks. The dude doesn't it just isn't going to happen for him, at least in Minnesota. I don't know what you do with a guy who's like that much of a freak athlete who just doesn't care about getting better. His handle is exactly the way it was when he was in high school. Nothing's improved.
Do we think there's a chance that if he ended up on a team where he was a de facto like scorer, like you just need to get the buckets?
6-man.
Or a 6-man type thing. So do you think it could work out? I mean, you don't want to pay your 6-man a max salary, but like a Hornets, a team that just can't score.
Yeah, maybe. But I just think, I don't know, man. I don't get it.
It's not good when you're shooting under 40% and under from the field and under 70% from the free throw line.
Right, he can't shoot.
And you're not getting like assists. You know, you're not.
The truth is, I think he's a 4, right? Like I think he's a post 4. I think he is like he needs to be on a team where he can operate in kind of that Draymond role on offense. Like you have to challenge him to make plays for other people. It's just not going to happen up in Minnesota, I don't think. I mean,
I worry about his motor. I don't think
well, there is no motor.
He's so content to just kind of float around. It's just that's my least favorite kind of player. The guy who can do these kinds of things, who just kind of floats.
Yeah.
It's just like so uninspired. And here's the thing that makes it all the more sad, I guess, is that like we should have seen it. Like everybody probably saw this coming when he got paid, right? Because they had to ask him, hey, do you promise you'll improve? If you promise you'll improve, we'll give you this contract. And then
that part's the best. I love that's the best. Hey, will you work to get better? Oh yeah, boss. Yeah, I got it.
Oh yeah, totally.
Definitely.
I was just looking up players who have averaged over 15 points per game and shot under 40% and under 70% from the foul line. We got Dennis Smith Jr. from last season, who he's not good.
Rookie point guard, and they're always bad.
And then we got to go back to Baron Davis. Did it twice. At least he's a playmaker. Then we got Antoine Walker, Jason Kidd, and then we're only back to the 50s with Woody Salisbury.
Oh man, old Woody.
So yeah, the entire list is Wiggins, Dennis Smith Jr., Baron Davis, Antoine Walker, Eric Williams on the Nuggets, and then Jason Kidd and Ron Harper. And most of those guys, I mean, 4 of those guys are point guards, sorta. Wiggins.
So we
Not
got to
great.
start calling Andrew Wiggins Wiggy Salisbury, right?
That works. I think you nailed it. Shout out Woody Salisbury. You will be the only, no other podcast will mention you this week. I promise. Anthony, who's one of your least improved players?
I'm going to, like I said, or like you said, Keith, I just like giving myself a hard time here, but literally everybody who is expected to make jumpers for the Lakers, every single one of you bums. Like, how do you have LeBron James on your team and get worse as a shooter? How does that happen? Right now, the Lakers' best 3-point shooter with any kind of consistent output has been Lance Stevenson. He's shooting 38% from three. Rajon Rondo is also shooting 38.7% from three. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Josh Hart, Lonzo Ball, Kyle Kuzma, all those guys are shooting 33 or lower from three. Even funnier, Reggie Bullock was shooting better than this from three before he got to the Lakers, and is now just miserable from the 3-point line. He is in his time with the Lakers shooting 29% from three.
Reggie's a team player. They explained to him the tanking situation. You're like, hey, Reggie, we need you to just take it easy.
He's tanking his summer contract too.
That ain't great.
So
do you want to focus on one? I actually was going to honorable mention Lonzo Ball. I feel like, obviously he's been hurt, but a guy who still can't hit a shot, can't hit a free throw. And again, this might be more to do like with his overall perceived trade value and the way he's just, I guess, viewed around the league. This has been a bad year for him where it's like, oh, he actually maybe has injury problems and he's not developing. We thought we had somebody who's going to be good and maybe he's not.
It's weird with him because, yes, I agree with everything that you said there, but the Lakers defense also fell off of a cliff because he wasn't around. So I don't know how we even define that. I guess if we want to stick with one person, I'd go with Kyle Kuzma. He was fine-ish last year and was supposedly going to take this leap forward. All we heard about all summer long was from anybody who was either associated with the Lakers. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson shouted him out at one point. Kobe did. They all talked about how hard he was working on aspects of his game and how hard he goes out there and he tries. And he's shooting 30.5% from three this year. And, I can't quite identify anything. He's shooting better at the rim this year than he did last year, which is good. And his free throw percentage, I think, went up a little bit this year. But overall, he was expected to be, the guy who maybe fits best with LeBron with the length and shooting ability on the wing, and he hasn't. He's missed, I think, more wide open 3-pointers than anybody else in the league.
Like you're just picking on your team now. Kyle Kuzma,
I can't.
He was returning to the mean. He was reverting to the mean on his 3-point shooting from last year.
Maybe. I can't stand this team as a thing.
It shows. Dave, give me another one of your least improved players.
Dwight Howard.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm just kidding. Actually,
he might be opting into that $5 million next year.
Oh, you think?
Maybe.
No, actually, John Wall.
Yeah, I have John Wall on my list too.
That's
Yeah, there we go. We all have the same.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, the injury, the heel, and then the Achilles. I mean, that's just terrible. And I don't know, how do you bounce back from that? But I mean, I just don't think he was really that good.
Well, so he was trending down before the injury.
Right.
Like before the injury, people were like, hey guys, that John Wall contract might be the worst contract going forward.
It is.
Then
right
he
now.
got hurt. And then then he got hurt. It's like, oh no. Like that. Yeah. What happened to him? Did he just is it a little bit of age? Did he slow down a bit? Was it the contentment of the salary?
I think there's a lot. I don't know, man. I don't want to speculate on the non-basketball stuff.
Sure.
Because you never know, and you get into a kind of a weird area there. But I mean, on the court, guy stopped playing defense, man. He stopped fighting through screens. His pick and roll defense was horrible. And he was mentioned as a good pick and roll defender up till January, basically, till he got hurt because of reputation. That just goes to show how much people actually pay attention to that. But, never really learning how to shoot. I think we don't kind of hit these guys as hard as we should. He's a max player that can't shoot the basketball and doesn't play defense. What are we doing here? How is he better than Wiggins?
And I think it gets easier. It gets easier to knock the off court stuff too when you have quotes that he offered up this year. When somebody asked him, like, when I think a beat reporter said or raised the concern that some fans think he's partying too hard, and his answer was like, "What do you expect me to do? Just sit at home and do nothing, right? Or just be boring like you?" And I'm like, I enjoy the honesty there. But, at some point when you don't improve in the ways that Dave just listed there, it's fair to question some of this stuff, and it's fair to question how much basketball is actually a priority for him when, look, the Wizards got a lot more fun to watch after he was no longer available.
Yeah. They got better on the basketball court too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that's a max guy who might actually be worse for your team just by being there.
Yeah, this is pretty depressing. Anthony, what's another least improved player?
So not least improved, but I wasn't thrilled with how Anthony Davis handled that trade deadline.
You and the Lakers, man. I should have known. Anyway,
I know.
No, I would say
I had
right.
Wiggins and John Wall on mine. You took them.
No, I would say Anthony Davis's perceived value and just also perceived likability, definitely least improved for the season. He took massive blows like throughout the trade deadline, and now people don't like him anymore.
Yeah, it was. Am I allowed to go this far as to say it was a little Dwight Howard-ish?
I think so.
Because he was asked about it at the All-Star during the All-Star break, and he said that he was going to give them a great Instagram farewell.
that quote, awful in print. When you see him say it, it doesn't feel that weird. It's more like, do you understand what's coming out of your mouth? He said it in a way that when I saw him say it, I'm like, oh, that's not as bad. But in print, I'm gonna write a nice Instagram post like everybody does. It's like that doesn't read real well, guys.
It was funny because so the Lakers they had one of those rare back-to-back situations where the Lakers played them twice in a row, and Anthony Davis didn't play the first time, and the Pelicans rolled the Lakers. And then Davis played the second time, and the Lakers won. And heading into the first game, I think there's a tweet out there that I said I actually think Davis not playing helps the Pelicans. And then when he was getting ready to play, they were a lot worse when he was involved in those in-game situations. Just because it's a farce. Like everybody knew he didn't really want. He was only out there to send a message to management and stuff, and it didn't end well. And I think he deserves to get knocked a little bit for how he handled that whole situation.
I like the people who are dunking on the Lakers with even if Anthony Davis goes to the Lakers somehow, it's like, you guys are telling me LeBron James and Anthony Davis, who each could not get their teams into the playoffs, are going to team up and be a threat? Come on now.
I think they'd be a little better together, but yeah,
they would be good.
No, a little.
They
I don't know. How's Anthony Davis going to feel standing in the corner, waiting to shoot threes?
Probably good because he doesn't have to guard centers, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Are you guys going to bring up LeBron in this category?
LeBron is my guy.
Okay, there you go. I thought someone had to bring up LeBron James. Go ahead, Dave.
Listen, I'm not surprised that a 34-year-old dude can't be, the rising tide that he has been for the last 10 years. It's not shocking.
Yeah.
It's only shocking because it's LeBron, right? This entire conversation about LeBron assumes that he's always at the peak of his powers. And this year is pretty clear that he wasn't. I mean, certainly the groin injury doesn't help. That's an old man injury, by the way, and it takes a long time to heal.
Mm-hmm.
When he came back, he didn't look right. No, I mean, he still was getting his numbers, but LeBron usually has much more pop.
Yeah,
and he's going to be 35 years old next December. We're on the downtrend, right? Like it's time to start talking about LeBron. Maybe isn't a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah, I think he went from the start of the season, who's the best player in the NBA if you need to win a game, to being people thinking LeBron James, to now we're down to the top 5. Like, who would you rather have for just this season? And it's like, right. I don't know. Maybe I would take 92% of Giannis Antetokounmpo over LeBron James. Not a great year for LeBron James.
It's reached a point with LeBron where the type of offense that he wants to run isn't going to work.
He can't do it the same way.
He can't. The idea of just like giving him the ball at the top of the key and letting him go to work, that he can't get by people anymore.
Yeah,
Mario Hezonja like locked him down.
That really was that might have been the nail in the LeBron. I mean, hopefully not, but that kind of felt like some finality of like, this guy is not the guy he was.
Well, hold up. So like, all right, is it plausible that we watch LeBron go through the Melo thing where it's just like he comes back next year and he just doesn't have it at all? Is that possible?
I don't know. Melo was one of my honorable mentions. Carmelo Anthony was a on the Sports Illustrated NBA rank before the season. He was like one of those honorable mention first cuts, and he's not an NBA basketball player anymore. So yeah, Carmelo, maybe one of the least improved. Anthony, you have another name on your list?
Well, LeBron was on there as well.
There you go.
But all right, so I wanna go back. Can we? I don't think Devin Booker's gotten enough criticism this year.
Oh, more people should listen to my show. That's all I do.
Oh, well, all right. So Devin Booker is paid like a max guy and is seen as a max guy and has the talent, I think, to be a max guy. But, you know, Phoenix has the worst, is what, the second worst team in the NBA this year. And they're about to fire another coach. Like, how many coaches has he gone through at this point? Now, it's an organizational thing. Phoenix is a mess. They have to really get their stuff together. But, you know, if in times like this, you look at the guy who's seen as a star on the team, and I think sometimes he has to be a little bit more honest with himself, and people got to be a little bit more honest with themselves about what can we hope to expect? Like, is he ever going to improve defensively? He's a career worst defensive rating this year again. You know,
I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass though, because that team is it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah. But if you're going to pay somebody like a superstar, they have to be able to lift the situation around them a little bit, right? He hasn't.
I'm just sad that Lakers people have resorted to lashing out at the Suns to make themselves feel better. Just what how far they've fallen. No, Dave, I think you're right. So like I criticize.
They're getting ready to hire Luke Walton.
I criticize Devin Booker a lot, and I do think that it's weird that he had a streak where he lost 21 straight games that he played in, and I was like, how good are you actually if you lose 21 straight games and you're like the best player on that team? I think that's a big blow against him, but I do feel like he's taken steps this year, and I feel like I'm still like, okay, maybe if we can get something better around him, a little more stability, he can be good. I like that his field goal percentage has gone up. Like that seems good. Those are baby steps. So like maybe I'm still seeing a little bit something from him this season. And recently, they've been winning some games. It's a very small sample, but the last few weeks they've been more competitive. So I'm not ready to. I guess my actual Devin Booker stock is just ticking up ever so slightly.
I don't know. That's all I can talk about Phoenix.
That's fair.
I don't cover the G League.
Dave, who's another least improved player?
Dirk.
We should mention it. Dirk is not an NBA player anymore.
He's not.
It's sad.
He had a nice game against the Spurs last week where he hit a bunch of threes, but like it's painful to just watch him play. Like I'm not the guy that's going to tell anyone when they have to stop playing, and the Mavericks clearly will pay him, until he decides he's done. But it sucks to watch him.
Yeah. You guys haven't mentioned my number one least improved player this season.
Uh-oh.
This is a guy who has had multiple opportunities to step up this season. It seems like everything actually played out perfectly for him to excel, and he did not. That's Tyreke Evans. Tyreke Evans, put up great numbers on the Memphis Grizzlies last year, only turned that into like this 1-year contract with the Pacers, and has been terrible. And then once Oladipo went out, it was like, this is your chance. You can actually get the ball in your hands even more. He's just totally no-showed. So Tyreke Evans, yeah, you're my least improved player this season. Like you just, what happened?
I think they're going to rename the Good Stats Bad Team award after Tyreke Evans.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, he's just been terrible.
I mean, I know some of it was like a looter and a riot for the Grizzlies, but even then, he didn't play when they were tanking for the Grizzlies last year. Like their first half of the season when they were all right, like he just did the Tyreek Evans stuff, and maybe it was, I guess he returned to more of his form of the previous few seasons. But man, maybe it's my fault for thinking he could repeat it. And again, I was very adamant. I did not want him back on the Grizzlies. I thought that was a terrible idea for the franchise, but I still thought he would do a little bit better than he's done this season. He's shooting a career worst from the field and averaging in the single digits for a team again that desperately kind of needed him. I mean, I guess maybe they didn't need him. They're doing fine, but it seems like they would do better with him. Another guy on my list, I was making fun of him with the Malik Beasley improvements, is Gary Harris. I know he's been banged up all year, but this is another season of him being banged up, which I'm like, oh, maybe this guy isn't a really like kind of exciting, vibrant star to be on the Nuggets. Maybe he's just a guy who gets banged up a lot and is really benefiting from playing alongside like a Nikola Jokic. So like my value of him has diminished a bit. Am I being too harsh on Gary Harris?
I mean, he had a disappointing season, but at least, there's a reason.
Yeah.
I have my eye on Denver for trading for Anthony Davis this year.
I was like not seriously. I was half joking, but at the trade deadline, I was like, man, offer him Gary Harris, Michael Porter Jr., 2 first-round picks. Seems like we could get somewhere close to that. Like, or Will Barton. Include these guys. They seem superfluous with Nikola Jokic. It's like, just go for it. I think we can plug in people around Nikola Jokic, and an Anthony Davis Jokic front court is definitely something like that's a swing for the fences where it'd be very interesting to see what could happen there.
Well, because I don't know if they're going to be able to pay all these guys anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So you consolidate and you bring in an Anthony Davis. You try to convince him that Denver is the place for him. And from a few accounts out there, there was the Lakers or bust kind of thing was overblown. He just wants to go somewhere and win. And I think if he goes to Denver, I think he and Jokic find ways to win, obviously. And if they do enough winning out there, I could see him committing to long term to Denver. And even if he doesn't, Jokic is so good at making players around him better that they could just restock and kind of hit a reset button on guys they wouldn't be able to pay anyway.
Yeah, I think you're right. Do you guys have any more least improved players to wrap this up? Anybody that we didn't hit?
All right. This is a multi-part thing here. I think Russell Westbrook has arguably had his best season as an NBA player. But his shooting is the most disappointing thing for an all-star player this year. I don't know what is going on with his shooting. It is the weirdest thing.
The free throws especially.
Free throws, yeah. Like he's been money from the free throw line. I was thinking jump shot, okay, yeah, he's had the knee issue, he's been banged up. Okay, maybe that's why. But the free throws don't make any sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
So that's my last disappointment.
And the free throw thing, like LeBron's dealt with, he's shooting a career worse from the free throw line too. I don't know what's gone on this year where
did
these
they
guys
change the free throw line and just not tell us.
What they started doing is they started moving the basket sideways on him. Just enough inches to each side that we haven't been able to notice.
Who's the is he going to go full Andres Biedrins? Where I think what Biedrins went from he was a 60% free throw shooter and then went to 11%. Just no one knows what happened. I
mean, Russ was at 80%, 82% free throw shooter. Yeah,
and now he's in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
And it feels like the kind of thing that can kind of snowball on a player too, because it's so mental. It's at that point, if you've been good before and now all of a sudden you're not good, that's the kind of thing. It's just you develop a smaller case of the yips where you just, what is going on here? Why can't I make these anymore?
Yeah, I have nothing to add about Russell Westbrook not being able to hit shots. It's kind of weird. My last guy is Chris Dunn. He's a guy where I just think whatever optimism you might have had about Chris Dunn, it ended this season. It's like, all right, yeah, he's like a backup. He's not going to be the guy. He never gets to the line. He can't hit 3-pointers. It's like, yeah, that guy's he's not who you want to run your team. So yeah, I think Chris Dunn is also my final least improved guy.
Can I also give an honorable mention to the Charlotte Hornets?
Oh yeah, let's do any honorable mentions you have. Just the whole franchise.
Yeah,
Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah,
they're about to lose Kemba.
Yeah, no, they are. They
Like
need to.
Their season this year is going to cost them Kemba Walker. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, no, it's not great. I don't know what they do. Like I've long been, small markets, cool, keep your players, overpay them, that's fine to be competitive. But just, they don't want to give them a max, and it's weird to ask them to take less than a max. So yeah, I feel.
I don't know what their path forward, because even if they lose Kemba for nothing, like they don't have anybody on their team that you could sell off for a bunch of assets either.
No.
So they lose Kemba for nothing, and I guess they just try to clean the books as best they can and tank like crazy again. I don't know what they're hoping to do.
Dave, you have any advice for Michael Jordan who's listening right now?
Listen, Mike.
Those pants.
First of all, let's get you some pants that fit. That's number one. Like, just change it up. Number two, after you get the better pants, and Jordan Brand makes better pants. after we improve those pants, I think you got to let Kemba walk, unfortunately, and you got to hit the reset button. You got one more year of Bismack Biyombo.
That's right.
Maybe you can move. Got a couple young guys. I mean, Malik Monk.
That's like
Jeremy
the thing.
Lamb,
is Malik Monk your best guy? Are you paying Jeremy Lamb next year? Because isn't he a restricted free agent? Like,
they probably just need a tank.
Oh man,
yeah,
it's brutal.
And it sucks.
You got Batum and Marvin Williams hanging out.
Yep, you got to try to move those guys, and they're just in a bad spot. I think part of this is like Michael Jordan's probably been a little too involved in the basketball decisions, and that's an issue, right? Like it's sort of like what the Lakers are going to deal with Magic Johnson, and I think that's a real problem, man. You got to let the basketball people do the work. Yes, Michael Jordan is like the ultimate basketball person, but it doesn't mean you're a good talent identifier, right? Like Frank Kaminsky is a prime example of this. Adam Morrison. I mean, we all know the list of guys that they've taken. I just think you got to move on from that part of the whole Charlotte organizational structure. It sucks, man. It's a good basketball city. They should have a good team. It's not like not a small town. Like they're
I thought
a real city.
you were just about to throw some NBA city under the bus.
I was going to, but I come on,
it's not Los Angeles.
Now. It's not like a Memphis.
Yeah, it's not like it's LA.
Right.
But I think that they should be better, and they could be better. But man, they're in a tough spot, and they're probably going to wind up paying Kemba the max. And he's the best player in franchise history.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah, Primoz Brezic. He's not.
Yeah.
Like
and Kemba. Here's the thing, man. Kemba makes that team watchable.
He is. Yeah, that's fair.
He's fun, and so it's hard for a team like Charlotte that hasn't been good in forever. Can't really get people to show up. It's hard for them to move on from a guy like Kemba. I get it, but at least get him some help.
It's brutal.
Good luck.
My final honorable mentions closing. Stanley Johnson, he's not good. James Johnson on the Heat, one of my favorite players. He's not doing much this year. Jamal Crawford, Father Time finally got him for real. And then the Powell and Marc Gasol, taking a step back, both of them. And then Markelle Fultz. I guess there's a lot we could say about those guys, but we don't need to. Anybody else you want to shout out, or can we just get out of here?
I don't know. I'm done.
We're done. We did it. All right, you guys, if you need any Lakers coverage, Anthony is your man. Check him out on Locked On Lakers and at Silver Screen and Roll. Dave over at the Back to Back podcast and hosting the Daily Ding. Thanks, fellas. Look forward to the next time I can talk with you guys.
Thanks, Sam.
Yeah. Let's not wait so long.
Let's do it. All right, thanks to Anthony and to Dave. Belated happy birthday to Dave. Turns out it was his birthday when we were talking. I had no idea. But a happy birthday, Dave DuFour. Make sure you check their stuff out. They're both on Twitter, and great Twitter follows. Dave DuFour, NBA, and at Anthony Irwin. All right, if you want to join our bracket challenge, you got to become a Patreon supporter, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. You can follow me on Twitter at FastBreakBreak, on Facebook, and on Instagram as well. All right, you guys are the best. Thanks for listening, and remember, breakfast is the most important thing.
Yeah, never apologize for being G&G. Fair break, man. You understand?
SeatGeek saves you time and saves you money. Two of the more important commodities in our lives these days. They aggregate ticket selling sites together, so you don't have to go to 8 sites and then, I'm going to look at the 9th one now because I'm not quite sure. I was totally that way, of course. And then they also rank every ticket based on value. So you look at the section you want to sit in, find that big green dot, the darker green, the better. You'll start to experience just endorphins when you see that green dot and know that you're getting an awesome deal on the ticket. I use SeatGeek to go to a Bucks Wizards game. Got awesome seats there for my fiance and me. So the way to get started with them, download the SeatGeek app and enter that familiar promo code
Fast break.
by using that code to get $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. That's promo code
Fast break.
for $20 off your first SeatGeek purchase. Let them know that you came from us.
Fast break. John is an asshole. Fast break.